What is up, problem solvers? Okay, so I got a stack up of unboxings. Probably should have posted the LDY video sooner on the Orion S comb. So if you've seen that, we had that in. I've had that for a couple of weeks, been carrying it. Totally forgot to review it. I got excited, started carrying it. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Has not lost its tune. Everything is still tight. Haven't had to Loctite it. So anyway, update on that. Was hanging out with a buddy last weekend. We were talking about knives. He likes a lot of the other stuff Flytanium does within the knife industry. So we were talking about Flytanium. I mentioned to him the Zenith trainer and how I had been thinking about getting one. He hadn't seen or heard about them yet, or really hadn't paid attention to them, more say. He's like, I've kind of seen them in passing, but didn't pay it too much mind. Mind you, this is a buddy who carried a Benchmade 42 as his wedding knife. So he likes Balisongs. Has an original Mako, not a huge flipper, but he's pretty good. So anyway, we were talking about flipping and knives, and I was showing him some stuff from LDY. We were talking about Flytanium. We got to talking about the Zenith. Went and looked, and so Flytanium has a garage sale section where they have blemish models of some of their items. And one of those items that's in there is the Zenith Trainer 2.0. So my buddy's like, hey man, have you seen the blemished ones? Because I see the regular price ones, but have you seen the blemished ones? And I'm like, yeah, I see the garage sale, but I hadn't really thought too much about it. And he's like, I don't know, it's a pretty significant price break. So I actually clicked on it, and we're talking out the door with shipping. I think this thing was $40 instead of $60. I think there are some codes you can use. Whose code did I use? I used the Balisong 10 code, and let's see, this thing was like 35 bucks. That knocked off $3.50. And then with shipping, it came out to like 39 and some change. So let's round it up to $40. That's a great deal. And I have opened it already because I wanted to look and see, like, could I find the blim so I could show you guys. There's a couple places I think I may have found them, mainly where the Zen pins are pressed in. But honestly, the tap is great. The tune is good. It doesn't tap. Tune is good. It was hard to find any blims outside of some areas around where the Zen pins were pressed in. Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal deal. I think these at $60 are a good deal for what you're getting from a reputable company. But considering you can get it for, a third less than brand new, and when you see this, you'll understand, like, there's really not any visible blims. I can live without the Bally boot, but I do think it's a good idea. I can just tell where that's eventually going to tear over time. I wouldn't use that, but we all know at this point, I just make my own slips and sheaths for latchless Bally's. So first thing I'll do later today is start working on a sheath for that one. I mean, I've got a couple slips already, but I'll make something unique that's just for this one. Notice this one's got the bright green to kind of go with the green on the handles. So I try and just do like a fun slip to match with my Bally's, and each one kind of gets its own little good practice on making stuff. I'm hoping to make these available in the future and start putting them on the website. I know people are always looking for good ways to carry their latchless Bally's. So, plus it's leather, it's going to conform to the specific Bally you use it for, and you dip this thing in beeswax if you want to and harden it up, and this thing is going to last you for years. So eventually they do kind of stretch, but this one I've been using for a while. I was using this on a different knife, pulled it off, ripped the thread out, rethreaded it. I like it with this one. So I will make one for this. because the belly boot is awesome. I mean, it's Flytanium branded. I'm assuming these are 3D printed or silicone mold poured. This one way, shape, or form. I do think this is a great idea. You know, you hook this on your belt, you can carry it with you if you don't want to slide it in a pocket. I slip my Bally in a back pocket. You know, they fit great. I carry a tourniquet in my back right pocket. So with the tourniquet sitting there and a Balisong sitting there, you know, it's perfect. And then I actually carry a small Swiss Army knife because, you know, growing up with MacGyver, which sits on the outside of the tourniquet, and it keeps everything standing up straight in my pocket, and they're all just pushed together enough and all flat enough that it's really not uncomfortable all being in my back pocket. So that's how I keep a Balisong on me. Typically a comb. If I'm not carrying a comb one, I'll be carrying a live blade. I don't really carry trainers around at this point. Those are for at the house playing with tricks. So, but let's take a look at this thing. Absolutely looks phenomenal. There are some little marks on the Zen pins on both sides, just some little dimples. So I'm assuming that's the blim. There is also a tiny mark on one of the pivots, but the ano looked good to me. There are some spots that go a little off in color, but I mean, that's probably just the lighting that I'm looking at this through. I also touched it with my greasy hands after being in the shop. Yeah, there's some like little specks in here where you can tell the ano's not perfect right there. And then some areas around the Zen pin. So this probably got nicked. It's probably slipped or something when they were doing the Zen pins and scratched a couple little places. But honestly, like, I'm gonna drop this and just ding it up anyway. So what do I care? You know, you save 20 bucks. Yeah, highly would recommend. The handles are a little blocky in comparison. Let's see. Where's something that's well rounded? You see how rounded the LDY is versus the Flytanium? I mean, I do wish the corners were a little softer, but it still feels really good in the hand. When I first picked it up, I was like, oh, it's blocky and chunky. But then when I flipped it a little bit, it feels good in the hand. I know I've heard people say the handles are shorter. When I compared this, you know, you go pivot to pivot, it is definitely shorter by, I don't know, what is that? 1/8 of an inch maybe? I mean, that's not insignificant, but I don't think it's so short that it's a problem. Let's get this out of the way. What does it come with? So it comes with the box. I do like how in the box they have a little cutout where it sits in and sits in the box. So it's got a little like presentation to it when you open it. And I think with the Bally boot, it probably sits up a little bit. So that's kind of nice. And then it does come with spare hardware. So you get washers and pivot screws. So that's nice. So take a Sharpie, write what that is, put that in your little knife maintenance box, hang on to it, throw away the cardboard box. I don't know why we're obsessed with keeping boxes in the knife community. If you're going to keep the knife and you're not going to immediately trade it or sell it to make more content, which I'm not, this is going to sit on my workbench and get flipped regularly. This is just going to be a play with in the shop beater. Probably get me some zippy mods, silence a little bit of that ring, so get more of a clunk than a ring. But great lines on this as far as the handle texture. Feels good. Jimping on the bottom is good. It is quite squared. You know, it's not real rounded anywhere, but I think that's how they're keeping costs down. You know, they're, what are these, 70, 75, I think. I don't remember. I think these are on bushings. It's gotta be. No tap. Let's look at play. I mean, for a $60 Balisong. That's not bad. And nothing taps. You can see the gaps there. So I think for what you're getting, especially with the blim, and you knock, you know, a third of the price off, and you're getting this for $40 instead of 60 or 55, whatever it is with the discount code. I do think if you want to buy a brand new one, use one of these YouTubers' Balisong code or 10% off code, so you can save a few bucks. And then shipping's usual, you know, $5 or $6 to ship a knife is pretty normal. So yeah, absolutely dig this thing. Yo, my hands have gotten so torn up making knives. So if you're ever like, dude, this dude's hands are... Yeah, I work with my hands for a living. Sorry. Anyway. Good Flytanium branding. I like their Dead Fly logo. So, anyway, let's go up top, take a quick look at it. My flipping has been atrocious today, so probably nothing special. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is, so there is a little bit of a bite handle indicator here where it's kind of shaped and pointed on this side versus flat on the spine over here. So there is a little bit of indication. It's hard to look at and tell, but if you really look at it, you can see the cutouts are a little different. The way I'm making note of it is that in a reverse grip, upside down, I shouldn't be able to see the logo and I'm on the safe handle. Or on an upright standard grip, again, still can't see the logo, I know I'm on the safe handle. So that's just how I'm giving myself a quick reference by looking and seeing if I see that laser engraved logo or not. That's just how I'm distinguishing for myself. I know it's trainer, it doesn't really matter, but you know, if you're going to use it as a trainer, use it as a trainer. And if the idea is to keep track of where the live side of the blade is, then it's good to know that. So anything that can be an indicator to keep your fingers a little safer, I'm a fan of. Okay. Let's do standard open. We'll do a side kick. Let's do a figure 8. Let's do a wrist pass. Standard open. Let's do the ice pick. Latch drop. Yeah, we can do the latch drop. Okay. Let's see what position are we in. We'll just do it from here. Oh, throwing stuff. Oh, it landed in my sharpening bag over here. My sharpening bag. All right, so that's not working well. Let's try the full twirl. So I do have to get used to these handles. I'm so used to rounded handles that I'm having trouble. So that is one thing I will note, is it is a very different feel from something like a Vulp or an LDY or something like that. So if you're used to those and those skinnier handles, this may not be for you. If you're looking for something skinny in this price range, go get you the Impulse 2. If you like a little thicker, blockier handles, then I would say go with the Flytanium. I'm also still working on the thumb and index rollover, so I've been using some really lightweight, thin knives. Yeah, I definitely need some more practice on that trick. Let's see if we can aerial with it. I mean, nope. That bouncy, sloppy stuff, I just don't feel like that's a clean. There we go. Hopefully that was on camera. Working on that one. Working on the rollovers. Just trying to master some basic stuff, you know. If you've followed since the early videos, you'll know I'm around Balisongs for years. but always just been real lazy about learning flipping. I always felt like if you knew the couple of basic openings, you know, you could impress your friends, and that was all you really needed, you know. So I'm trying to push that and start learning more, but really digging this thing. I do like the color on it. This radioactive green with the black coated blade looks great. So check out the Zenith 2.0 from Flytanium. Great little piece, good value for the money, and honestly, just a cool one to have in the collection. So y'all be good.